Hello creative friends, this is Joy. So I made this book to put ephemera in, and I noticed after I finished it, and I was going to keep the cover as it was and just decorate it, I noticed that there was a crack in the spine of the book, and so I decided I'm going to have to reinforce the cover and the spine and completely redo the cover. So that is what this video is about. And if you want to see how I did the inside of the book, you can check out the first video on my YouTube website where I show you how I put together the inside of the book. Now, because I've completed the inside of the book and I don't want to mess it up, I am cutting this muslin to just fit the size of the cover. I could have potentially just cut it to cover the spine, but I really like the texture of the muslin, and I just, thought that it would, add good texture to the cover of this book if I've just covered the whole thing with the muslin. So that's what I decided to do. So I putting down white gesso on the whole cover of the book so that I can adhere this piece of muslin to the cover. So then I put this down on the top of the book as you see me doing here, and then I just make sure that the book is going to close and it's not going to be too tight on the cover whenever I close the book, and that it's on there somewhat square. It's not an exact science, but it's good enough. And on the bottom corner it just overlapped a little bit, so I just trimmed that off. And then I cover the top of the muslin with the gesso and really tried to make sure that I put enough on there to soak through the muslin, because I really want to make sure that it's adhered to the cover of the book. And I'm trying to be extra careful not to get this underneath the book, because I don't want to mess up what I did on the inside of the book. Like I said, I really my plan when I created this was to keep the cover like it was, and just maybe add some decorations to the front and the closure. But after I put the inside together, and then I realized that the spine was cracked, and I'm like, great. So this was my fix, and to try to fix it and to create a nice cover for this book. So yeah, I'm getting gesso all over the place, but I'm really trying hard not to let it get on the inside. So I let that dry. Actually, I let it dry overnight because I wanted to make sure it was good and dry. And then I decided that I wanted to paint the cover with this burgundy paint, because I actually used on the inside of the book like a burgundy colored scrapbook paper to cover the inside. So I'm putting the burgundy paint all over the outside of this journal, and I'm carefully going around the edges of the book as well. So then I'm like, well, I probably should paint around the edges carefully and then open it up and lay it down and then paint the rest of the cover. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to paint around the edges and get those painted so that I don't make a mess on the inside or mess up anything that I did on the inside. And then you'll see me here in a minute where I lay it down, open it up and lay it down, and then paint the outside of the book. Now I don't show you, obviously it's took me some time to paint the outside, and what I did was I gave it a second coat after I painted it the first time. I added a second coat to this, and so I didn't I'm not gonna sit and make you watch that whole thing. but I did want to show you how, I was carefully trying to paint around the edges, and I would assume it, if you made a book or decide to make a book like this, that you would do your cover first before you do the outside. I wished I had noticed that the spine was damaged, so I could have done that first before I did this. And actually, if I'd known it was going to end up having to redo all of this, I mean, I could have used, some chipboard or something to make a cover. I really didn't need to use a book for that matter if, I was going to have to end up covering the whole thing up anyway. Anyway, that's my philosophy. In any case, so I got around the edges and then I opened it up, laid it down, and then um, cover the outside with the burgundy. And like I said, I did end up doing a second coat on this, and I did let this dry. This book did take me some time because of, having to, what I did with on the inside and then having to redo the cover. But, in the end, I was really happy with the way it turned out. And yeah, just being really careful that I don't get, anything on the inside to where it's going to mess up anything I've done inside. And this, I actually saw a video from a girl, 49 Dragonflies, where she had a book that she created with ephemera in it. And I thought, wow, that's a great idea. So I decided I wanted to make one for myself. And this isn't how she made hers, this is just how I decided to make mine. But I thought it was a great idea, and I'll leave a link to her video in the description. So here I wanted to go over it with some black ink, a black ink pad, excuse me. I tried to do it with this sponge, but as you could see, I couldn't quite get it to put enough ink on there. So I just thought, well, the heck with it, I'm just going to rub the whole darn thing down with the ink pad then. And I really like this technique because it really brings out, the texture and stuff, of the cover. And it, gives it kind of an aged look. And yeah, so I just really like that. So anyway, if you want to see how I put the inside of the book together, you can go back and watch the first video. And I did fill this up with a bunch of ephemera that I had. And if you want to see what type of ephemera I put in this book, you can watch the next video that I'm going to be putting out. So here I'm just going through my ephemera packs that I have and just trying to decide on, how I want to decorate the outside. That little square there is what was left of the piece of scrapbook paper I used to cover the inside. So use it on the outside of the book here with, some other pieces of ephemera. So it took me a little bit of going back and forth to decide on what I wanted to put on here, how I wanted it arranged, where I wanted it. I thought I was going to want it in that lower right hand corner, but you'll see here in a minute that I actually moved it over to the other side because I thought it would work better and look better there. And also to decide on what I wanted to, include. So I'm not going to, I'll cut a lot of this out because like I said, it took me some time to try to decide on what to put on the cover. And then I like the idea of these little tickets, but I added a couple of tickets, but then it completely covered up my little piece of scrapbook paper that was left from what I did on the inside. So I didn't want to do that because I really wanted to be able to see that. And then I decided on the little stamps because they have the red and the blue that matches the red and the blue and the birds that I want to add to the cover. And then I found this little piece of map that I thought went really well with the card that I'm going to add here with the plane. And then I want to add a butterfly. So I have this sticker book that I got from the butterfly, some butterfly place like that we went to. It might have been a museum. I don't remember. I've had it for a long time. And tried to find a butterfly that had blue and red in it that I could add to the cover, but there was none, so I ended up adding a blue butterfly. You'll see here in a minute. At first, I was gonna add one. Well, that one had blue and red, but it was so big, I just felt like it was just too big. So as far as the smaller ones, I found a red one and I found one that was blue, but nothing with red and blue. So I ended up deciding to go with a butterfly with blue on it. There's the red one. I was auditioning, deciding, do I want that one? And then I tried the little blue one and decided I like that better. The only thing I don't like about these butterfly stickers is the white around them. I have to sit and fussy cut the white off, but that's fine. So then I decided to use this heavy duty double-sided tape to tape all of this down on the cover. I figured that this tape is pretty strong. Once you put it down, you're committed. So it's like you got to be kind of careful with it, because I've had it destroy projects before, to where I would put something down and then it not be in the right place and try to move it or pull it up to move it, and it just like yeah, it's really, really super sticky and strong. So I'm trying to make sure that everything's in, gonna be in the right place where I want it. And you'll see here in a minute, I think the little piece of scrapbook paper that I put down, I did round the corners on it. I guess I didn't show that part. I put it down and then I had to pull it up, and it did tear some of the map that was underneath. But in any case, here I already taped it. I didn't think that you wanted to sit and watch that whole thing, so I skipped ahead, and then here's the bird that I'm taping down. And then the butterfly, I had to, like I said, kind of fussy cut to get that cut out, because it still has the white around it, which I don't really particularly care for. But I really like the butterfly stickers, though. They're pretty neat. I probably should have bought another book, but anyway, I stuck that one on there. So I decided to add a closure to this book, and I decided I was going to do it with like a chain and a lobster claw, I think is what they call them, that you usually see on necklaces and stuff. So I'm trying to find a center of where I want to punch a hole, and then I punch my hole in the book. And the front cover, I was a little close to the edge, but I'm like, well, it's not too bad. But the back cover, I got even closer, which I wasn't too happy about, but it's fine. I would have liked it to been a little bit further back. The crocodile here has a stop, so I should have set that so that I could have gotten it exactly where I wanted it. But yeah, I was really close on the edge. And so then I have these brads that I am using to attach the chain to the front and the back. And here's the chain. So I get the chain and I stick the brad through one of the links in the chain. And actually I could only stick one side of the brad, and then put it on the back cover. And then I decide how long I want this chain, because I want it to be a little bit longer so that I can add a charm to the end of it. And then I get my pliers and I cut it off the length that I want it. So you'll see here that in a minute. So here I just cut off how long I want it. And then I do the same for the front. I take the brad, I stick it through one of the links, I attach it to the front. And this will be shorter because I will put the lobster claw on the end of the chain, and then that will clamp onto the other chain that's just attached to the back. So I got that the length I want it, and I got a jump ring, so I open that up and I put or I had to get another pair of pliers to open it up. So I put the end of the chain on that from the front. And then I got the lobster claw. Well, I should have got it out before. I had it all. So anyway, I put both of them on there and then closed the little jump ring for that. So that's how I made the closure for this book. And that's pretty much, what I did for the cover for this book. If you guys like this video, you can give me a thumbs up. You can also subscribe to my channel to see more. Or you can leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, here's a bunch of charms. So I wanted to choose a charm to add to the end of the chain that is attached to the back that's dangling down. And I chose a flower because I thought that went well with, my cover. So that's what I'm doing here. So I get a jump ring. I do the same that I did with lobster claw. I open up the jump ring. I put it on the end of the other chain with the flower and then close that. And like I said, if you want to see how I did the inside of the cover, you can watch the first video. And if you want to see the things that I add inside the book as far as ephemera and different things that I add to it, that'll be in the next video. So here you can see that I already filled it up. So yeah, watch the next video if you want to see all the different things that I put into it. And here's where, the cover is finished with the closure and the little charm on the end of it. So this is the whole cover for the book that I created. Thank you guys for stopping by and watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.